This video shows you how to align and adjust the T-Glide and Premium fences. The video shows the T-Glide fence. Except where noted, the steps are the same for both fences. To begin, as always, take precautions before working on the saw. Turn off the saw. Remove the lockout key. Unplug the saw. First, confirm the fence is locking properly. If the fence requires too much force to lock, the mechanism is too tight. As you push down on the locking handle, it should offer some resistance, but should also pivot below the main tube when locked. If the fence does not hold its position when locked, the mechanism is too loose. In this example, the fence does not lock firmly in place. You use the parallelism screws to adjust the clamping force. Access the screws on the back of the guide bracket. Unlock the fence and lift off the tube. Use the 5mm hex key to turn both screws an equal amount clockwise to increase the clamping force. In the context of this video, I'm specifying the rotation directions as if looking at the back of the guide bracket. Place the fence on the tube and check the clamping force. Adjust again as needed. Here, too much force is required to lock the fence. To decrease the clamping force, turn the screws equally counterclockwise. Typically, you should only need to turn the screws a small amount. Next, confirm the fence is parallel with the miter slots. Move the fence until the left face is parallel with the right face of the right-hand miter slot. Lock the fence. Visually check and slide your finger along the full width of the miter slot and the faceplate. Here I'm also using the ruler from the combination square as a straight edge to help confirm the faceplate is flush with the right face of the miter slot. If flush, that's great. There is no need for adjustment. In this example, the fence is not parallel with the miter slot. It's misaligned such that it's pivoted clockwise when looking down on the table. Note that the misalignment in this illustration is greatly exaggerated for clarity. Similar to the clamping force, you use the parallelism screws to adjust the alignment. The parallelism screws thread through the guide bracket. The flex arm is in tension against the screws. When you turn the screws, the flex arm moves the guide plates in or out. The guide plates press against the main tube. The position of the screws, in combination with the clamping force of the cam lock, determines the alignment. Unlock the fence and lift off the tube. Turn both parallelism screws an equal amount, but with opposite rotations, to pivot the fence counterclockwise back into alignment. I turn the screw on the left clockwise. I turn the screw on the right the same amount counterclockwise. Again, right and left here mean as looking at the back of the guide bracket. Check the alignment again. Place the fence on the tube. Slide the fence so that it's flush with the right face of the miter slot. And then lock the fence. If flush, you can move on to the next step. If not flush, repeat the alignment process. In this example, I turned the screws a little too much. so now I turn them opposite to the previous attempt. Adjust again as needed. Here's an alternate approach to consider for the fence alignment. Once the workpiece engages the splitter or riving knife, one could argue that the back half of the fence has little to no effect in guiding the workpiece. Therefore, it's reasonable to, in effect, remove the fence from the alignment mix once the workpiece passes along and beyond the splitter or riving knife. At that point, the splitter or riving knife are effectively doing the guiding of the rip cut. That being the case, you can adjust the fence alignment so that the back edge of the fence, the portion near the rear of the table, is angled away 5/1000ths of an inch. Once again, the relations in this illustration are exaggerated for clarity. If you'd like to make this adjustment, make sure the fence is first flush along the length of the miter slot with the fence locked. Unlock and remove the fence and then turn the left parallelism screw a small amount counterclockwise. Turn the right screw the same amount clockwise. Place the fence so that the front portion of the face is flush with the right face of the miter slot, and then lock the fence. Use the feeler gauges to measure the offset between the side of the miter slot and the faceplate at the back of the table. Repeat this process as needed until you arrive at 5/1000ths. Use the combination square to confirm the faceplates are perpendicular to the table. Place the square on the table and against the left faceplate. With the fence unlocked, turn the leveling screws as needed to adjust the fence. For this example, the fence is tilted away from the square, so I turn the left screw counterclockwise and the right screw an equal amount clockwise. Typically, you will turn the screws in equal amounts and in combination, back and forth. Confirm that the position indicator lenses are not contacting the ruler. If rubbing, they can wear the numbers off over time. With the fence locked, you should be able to slip a credit card under the lenses. If the lenses are contacting the ruler, make sure the fence is unlocked and then turn the leveling screws an equal amount clockwise. Lock the fence and then check the clearance again. The next step is to check the clearance between the bottom of the faceplates and the table. Place and lock the fence. As with the lenses, you should be able to slip a credit card between the table and the bottom of a faceplate. Check along the entire length of the fence. The credit card should slide in with no or minimal vertical play. In this example, the left faceplate is contacting the table, near the back of the table. Place the fence on its left side. Now use the 5mm ball end hex key to loosen the screws for the plate. Access the screws through the slots in the bottom of the fence. Just barely break the screws loose. Do not loosen too much. Use the rubber mallet to lightly tap the lower edge of that faceplate. Place and lock the fence, and then check the clearance once again. The gap at the rear is now correct, but the gap at the front is now too wide. Tap the faceplate on the top edge to reduce the gap. Notice that if you loosen the screws too much, the faceplate will shift as you handle the fence. The cap screws need to be just loose enough to allow you to adjust the faceplate, but snug enough to keep the faceplate from slipping as you handle the fence. When finished, place the fence on its side once again and then tighten the cap screws. Place the fence once again and confirm the gap is still okay. Repeat this process to check and adjust the right faceplate. Finally, make sure the position indicator lenses are correctly calibrated with the rulers. The indicator on the left is used when the fence is to the left of the blade. The indicator on the right is used when the fence is to the right of the blade. Place the fence on the right side of the blade. Do not lock the fence. Remove the ruler from the combination square and then place against the fence, extending to the blade. Shift the fence until a hash mark is even with the right side of a tooth. Note this dimension. The actual distance does not matter. Now look directly down on the right position indicator. The reticle in the lens should be directly over the same value you set on the ruler. If not, loosen the two Phillips screws and then slide the lens until the reticle is directly over the value. Hold the lens securely and then tighten the screws. Check the left lens. Place the fence on the left side of the blade. Do not lock. As before, set the distance on a hash mark. Check the value under the reticle and adjust as needed. That's it for alignments and adjustments for the fences. The next section shows a tip for the premium fence. If you have the premium fence, this section shows you how to, in effect, swap the faceplates. Though the faceplates are not individually replaceable, you can change the configuration of the premium fence such that they are reversed. For example, assume that the left faceplate is damaged and that the right faceplate is in good condition. Further, assume that you do most or even all ripping with the fence to the right of the blade, which uses the left faceplate. Rather than replace the fence tube assembly, which includes the faceplates, you can turn it end for end, which swaps the faceplates. To begin, remove the end cap. Peel off the covers for the screw holes. Remove the roller assembly. Use the 4mm hex key to remove the mounting screws for the fence head assembly. Slide the fence tube off the head assembly, flip it end to end, and then slide it back on the head assembly. Install the mounting screws. Install the roller assembly on the opposite end. Install the end cap on the opposite end. Optionally, you can replace the screw hole covers. Make sure the various alignments and adjustments are still okay, as shown earlier. Plug in the saw. Install the lockout key. You have learned how to align and adjust the T-Glide and premium fences. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, contact SawStop Service.